Thank you for joining us for another episode of Your Health Moment. I'm your host, Dr. Fitness. And as always, we're going to discuss all things holistic health and wellness. And today will be no different, except today I have the pleasure of interviewing Pam Sherman, CEO and founder of The Perfect Balance, certified trainer and instructor since 1997, which qualifies her easily for guru status, just so you know. So if you're over 50 and you're looking for smart ways to eat and to work out, you don't want to miss one moment of our discussion today with the founder of The Perfect Balance, Guru Pam Sherman. So as you can see, I'm super excited to be interviewing Pam. Um, we had a little discussion earlier, and I do feel Pam. I'm like, Pam, you are my people. So I definitely feel that way. And so Pam, if you don't mind, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then let's jump into the stuff that you're doing with The Perfect Balance.
Sure. I have been passionate about health and wellness really my entire life. I was a trainer even when I was a little kid. I look back and my very oldest friend, we're still friends to this day, 51 years later. We were 10 and 12 and we wanted to go for a run and she wanted to eat an Eskimo pie. And I said, if we go for a run first, we can have the Eskimo pie second. And she wanted to have the Eskimo pie first. And I said, we'd get cramps. Even at age 12, I knew we couldn't do that. And we laugh about it because it's one of like 3 fights we've had in 51 years, but I have always it's very come very easy to me. I've always been very motivated to work out, to help others work out, and I kind of fell into teaching and training. I mean, there's no accidents, right? The universe kind of put someone in my life who said, "Hey, why don't you go over here and learn how to be an instructor?" And
Oh, that's
I went
fantastic.
to a 18-week course at a community college on how to be a group exercise instructor while I was pregnant with my son who just turned 26. So it's what I fell into and what I love, love, love to do, really my whole life.
Wow, and as you say, your whole life at 13, you're already out and running with friends. So where did your
Had,
passion for running start? If you started that young, was there
I
somebody
started
in
at
your life that influenced you?
Yeah, I started at 11. My dad was an amazing runner in college. In fact, he and his teammates almost made it to the Olympic trials in the 4x4 relay. But back in the 50s, they didn't know about stretching, and he tore a hammy on the, first turn and
Oh,
his those dreams were dashed, but he was a recreational runner before it was even a thing. Back when they used to only make one running shoe, which I got that first Nike with a yellow swoosh. I mean, that was it. But I asked to go to run with him, and he was very kind and said, "Let's go to the track," because at the time we lived in Connecticut, which is very hilly. And I ran 2 miles without stopping, and it was the greatest feeling for me, and I literally never stopped. I'm still running 45 years later.
wow. That's incredible. So as we get into it, I mean, you've developed this really cool system, and with all that time, you've had years to develop it. So I'm thinking that things have changed because I know in my practice, what I
Yeah.
share with people has really changed over the years with technology changes and the information that we're getting. Have you found that to be the case for you?
1,000,000% yes. I mean, back in the day, running was the only thing, but there was no internet, there was no learning what's best for your body. Now that I'm 56, I highly encourage everyone who listens to me, who I train with, they have to strength train because muscle is your organ of longevity. And falls are the number 2 reason people die in our country. And it's not just the fall, but it's what happens after the fall. And your strong muscles protect your bones, and it is vital. And the misconception of women are going to get big, bulky muscles, which will never, ever, 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 ever happen. I want women to do less cardio, get off the hamster wheel of the elliptical, and start lifting some weights because that's really going to make the second half of your life, I mean, the best half of your life.
That's really exciting to hear because I do hear reluctance a lot of women to start doing and using weights, but that is
Yeah.
changing. There has been a cultural shift, and I'm really excited about it, and I think it's going to really make a big difference. I've seen it in my practice, and I'm sure you've seen it in yours. So that is a really great development.
Yeah.
Where it comes to food, have you noticed any changes in particular?
Oh, so many. And there's, the diet. industry is I think like a $500 billion industry is in our society, especially with TikTok and Instagram, people want the instant fix, but your health is the only thing. There is no quick fix for your health. So anything that has an expiration date, anything that has a diet, all the diets work until you go off of them. The thing is, eating single ingredient foods that don't have any labels is your best bet. Prioritizing protein every time you eat to preserve your muscle that we are losing after the age of 40. So if we strength train and we eat more protein, women especially are carbohydrate eaters. As we get older, that's not serving us. We want to eat more protein so we stay strong and vital. I mean, we've all seen the elderly people in our grocery store that are kind of frail and hunched over. And every time I see them, I'm standing up, taller. But I tell people, especially, prioritize protein every time you eat. You cannot eat too much protein and you'll stay full longer and your energy levels will not crash. Okay, I'm going too fast now. I'm going to slow
No, no, you're doing great. I'm loving it. Um, Another thing about it, well, what's your stance on fat? Because there's been a time where fat was the big evil,
Mhm.
and then we had the beginning of like Atkins and how fat is really amazing.
Yep.
Um, do you have a position there?
I do. I was very sad when the keto was very popular. The keto diet was made for people who have epilepsy because all that high fat is great for your brain. It helps lessen seizures. Women do not process fat that well. And most women, if they eat a lot of fat, they gain fat. But there's different kinds of fat, however. Avocados, wonderful for you. The problem with nuts is women think, oh, nuts are healthy for me and have a handful for a snack, which could easily be 500 or 600 calories.
Mm-hmm.
So fat in moderation, absolutely. Our brain needs fat to function. We definitely need it every day. And if you look back to the 90s, I love me some Snackwells in the 90s. But that is really where the obesity epidemic started, is when the government said have 11 to 12 servings of carbohydrates and very little meat or fat. That's all sugar that turned our country's health upside down. So the right fat in meat is fine. Fat in eggs is fine. A little bit of cheese because it tastes good. A little bit of nuts and avocados are great. So be really cautious with your fats.
Okay. So, hey, I appreciate you sharing that. There's so many, I've read so many different books and there's been just so much research on it. And it's great to get another expert's opinion on their take on fat. I'm sorry.
I was going to say something that's really disheartening for everybody listening is peanut butter is not a protein. Some people say I had peanut butter toast, I had protein. I said you had fat and carbohydrate, which is really a sugar. If you look at an ingredient label, what it has the most of is what it's considered. Peanut butter, almond butter, all the butters, they have the most fat, so it's considered a fat with a little bit of protein. So women always tell me that they're eating a high protein breakfast. I'm like, that's not high protein. I'm sorry. And nobody eats just 2 tablespoons of any nut butter. Come on now, let's be serious. Nobody's measuring those 2 tablespoons out.
You know, I do avoid the ones that have sugar added.
Good.
So as you're looking at the
Yeah.
labels, I always recommend, if you're going to grab it, if it's a peanut butter or nut butter that has added sugar, pass. Do a hard pass.
Nobody needs added sugar in anything, really.
Yeah, I read this book by Gary Taubes,
Yes.
Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It.
Yes.
And that combination of simple carbs and fat isn't so great.
No.
So therein lies a lot of the challenges. And like you were saying, if you're putting fat on toast, well, there you have that simple carb, and then you have that fat combo. And for us as people, it does set us up to gain fat.
And you're not even full. An hour later, you're hungry because you don't have protein with that. And it's just if people don't know what you're talking about, if you look at the nutrition label on a package of bread, it's mostly carbs, and in your body, carbs equal sugar. So that's all it is. So you're having a sugar and fat breakfast, which does not serve you energy-wise or brain-wise, really, to set you up for success for your day.
Which is such an interesting point. Do you have recommendations where it comes to what to do instead? Because let's face it, the typical American breakfast
Yeah.
of either cereal, even oatmeal, or pancakes, waffles, we can kind of go on and on in that way, but it's like stacked with sugar. So what's your way of getting your clients around that?
I tell them never to go down the cereal aisle. There's nothing good for you in the cereal aisle unless you are in an extra saucer, which makes you like a year to 2 years old, and you put the little Cheerios in the extra saucer. After that age, the marketing lies. They want you to think all that stuff is healthy for you, and it's not. Prioritize protein. It can be leftovers from last night. It could be leftover meatloaf. It could be eggs. It can be turkey. I mean, it really can be anything. You always want to prioritize protein. And for a lot of my clients, women, they're busy. Protein shake first thing in the morning. That's easy. It's convenient. They don't have to think about, what to put in it. Just make it, and then they can think about lunch and dinner separately. But it's easy and it doesn't take up a lot of time. And most women I know are just, they get up early and they're going. But avoiding, oh my gosh, avoiding the donuts and the pancakes, all that stuff that doesn't do us, our bodies, any good. In fact, Kellogg's made the slogan in the 70s, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It's actually not.
Oh, well,
But
now that's really fascinating. So breaking that fast from the evening and not eating from that period, breakfast isn't the most important. So
well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
they made that because they wanted you to buy their cereal.
Hmm.
The health people I follow, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon just came out with a book, Forever Strong. She is big into longevity and talking about muscle as your metabolic currency. She's saying you should break your fast with 40 to 50 grams of protein, that your muscles
Wow.
first. I know, and that's a lot. It's hard for women. We are not natural meat eaters. I think like Fred Flintstone with the big brontosaurus thing in his hand.
Wow.
We're not naturally like that. So getting in like a serving and a half of a protein shake is the easiest way to do that. And that's setting your body up for success for the day.
Wow. So that's a really nice tip. So look at that. There alone, you are so happy. If you're still listening at this point, you got a great nugget. You're going to have to tell your friends to come back and check out this, because you're going to get tons of great nuggets. And that kind of protein to break your fast, that's like a really great nugget. Yeah.
It's huge, especially as we are aging. We actually need more than we did when we were younger. A teenager might not need as much as we do, but I don't know how old you are, but as
I'm
we are,
58.
okay, you're just a couple years ahead
So
of me.
so I'm
Yeah.
moving. Yeah, I'm moving there. 60 is coming fast.
See,
Um,
we
but
want to stay vital and strong, and that's a good way to do it.
and like you're saying, so a lot of the things that you're talking about, fortunately, I do. Um, and I do salads with meat for breakfast. So people that have been listening,
Yes.
it's like I'll do tuna on top of a giant kale and cabbage salad. And I tend to like kale and cabbage because they last. So I
Yeah.
can make a huge salad with kale and cabbage and use vinegar, or like an apple cider vinegar and olive oil, and it'll last in that vinegar. And sometimes I like lime juice. I squeeze some fresh lime juice in it, and it works as a ceviche. So by the end of the
Oh,
week, what I don't have left has been beautifully marinated, and it's delicious, but in a different way. So the
I
options, I mean, we have are just unlimited with what you can do for breakfast once you switch the paradigm. And I think that's a
yeah.
huge thing for most people to do, is switch your breakfast paradigm.
It is because we don't watch commercials in my house, but all the commercials are telling you to get, whatever Captain Crunch or whatever cereal is, and that's the last thing you should be doing. You should never be having that for breakfast. And I don't know if you ever do this. I like to roast red cabbage and then I let it cool and then put it in my salads.
Oh my God. I do that with cauliflower too.
Yes. Yeah.
Roast it till it's charred,
Mhm.
and then throw it in a salad when it's cool. And, real simple too. Just toss it with a little bit of olive oil and salt and pepper, and it's fantastic.
I do a lot of salt and the olive oil, and it's so, so good.
Mm. Well, now we're talking food.
I
I'm going
know.
to get hungry. But these are really easy to manage food recommendations, and so that's great. So it's not a struggle for people to do some of these things.
It just really takes planning and changing your grocery shopping. And for most people, I would say you can't wait till the last minute or till when you're hangry, because when you're hangry, you're never going to reach for the apple or, the eggs. You're going to reach for something, processed that's in your cupboard. So planning ahead really does make a huge difference.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Um, there's just so many sayings. And when you mentioned apples, um, you know, when people are hungry and they have an apple option, a lot of times they don't even choose the apple option, which means to me they're probably really not legitimately hungry. You're feeding something other than appetite. So,
Yeah.
is there a test that you can give people along those lines? Like, hey, if you have this in your house and you think that you're hungry, but you're not eating it, it's probably something that you're wanting to feed that's not really your hunger. Is there a
Yeah.
litmus test for
Well, you kind of said it without
emotional
saying it.
eating?
Yeah, if you don't are if you're really hungry, do you want some broccoli or an apple? If the answer is no, then figure out what you're actually doing. Are you tired? Are you stressed? Are you mad? Are you sad? Are you frustrated or lonely or bored? Because most women, I don't know about guys, most women are
No,
emotional
guys are
eaters.
really the same.
Okay, so most people are emotional eaters, and there's a reason behind that. If you don't want to eat an apple, if you're tired, take a 15-minute nap. If you need fresh air, go out for a 15-minute walk. That really lifelong health and wellness depends on you feeding your body for health, not feeding your body for emotions, because you can look all over our country and there's too many people eating their emotions and it's going to kill them, unfortunately.
Now, yet no doubt about it. And it's funny that you're mentioning it because at times I think guys are even more emotional than women, but less equipped to
Deal with it.
to deal with it. We go from happy to angry, but it could be all kinds of other things in the middle that are creating it.
Yeah.
You're like, but but those are just easy go-tos. We got two speeds.
Yeah, and it's
Go
so
and
it,
not
it's
go.
so interesting, right? You're going 100 miles an hour or you're not. Or like I remember we had a man over clean the windows of my house one time. My husband opens a fridge and the guy goes, "Dude, what are you doing? There's no movie playing in there. You know it's in there. You open that refrigerator 15 times a day." And I would just bust out laughing like he's right. Like we all know what's in the fridge. What are you doing? Just stand there looking?
Oh my gosh, yes. Now that is a thing. Just looking,
Yeah.
that's a really interesting point because hey, if you're just looking, what are you really looking for? If you know what I mean, it's
Yeah.
there's something to that. So that would be a sign, I guess. It's a sign of what do you think there, Pam? It's a
Boredom.
sign.
Boredom. Trying to fill the time. Let me look to see what I can find. I'm like, you know what's in the fridge? We get the same stuff in the fridge every week. There's nothing, no surprises in there, really.
You might be hiding something, you know. There might be a treat that you hid somewhere.
When we were first married, my husband told me to hide the chocolate chips because he couldn't stop eating them, so I put them in the dishwasher. Now I don't hide anything because I'm like, you're 57. If you want to eat something, go ahead.
Now, I find spouses are really tough in most
Yes.
cases.
Yeah.
When you're, let's say, when you're working with the, because I've worked with couples. It was tricky,
Yeah.
and they tell on each other like all the time, like uh, accountability partnership. I think they just kind of got it misconstrued in some way. But it's really interesting how competitive couples can get with when they get on weight management processes and programs together. Have you had any success with that? What's your way of helping to manage, bringing the couple to health,
I
not just
have
one?
not, well, I haven't done couples before, but I do know that I work mostly with women. They have to have a spouse that supports them. I had one woman call me in tears one day that said, "My husband brought home my favorite candy." And I feel like he was threatened by her wanting to get healthy and lose weight. So, yeah, every new client, I'm like, "Tell me about your family. Tell me about your spouse." When they say they're supportive, I'm like, "Oh, You're going to be all you need is a successful spouse. I mean, really, you need somebody to say, "Great job when you're working out." What can I do for you? But couples, I mean, that's tough, especially because men, we love you and hate you. You always lose weight faster than the women do, so it can be very hard for the woman.
That is true. Couples and don't try quite as hard. And that's one of the digs. He ate cookies last night and his numbers are better.
Eh,
That's like one of the ultimate. So yeah, it happens. Um, I wonder, because having a supportive spouse, if you're in that environment, in that situation, what are your thoughts about teaching your husband or your spouse to be more supportive? Because I believe in some cases of perceived sabotage,
yeah.
I do think it's a lack of awareness, even,
Mhm.
and knowledge about what's going on, and even the role in it that you're playing.
Yeah, I've had to tell many clients, you have to teach your partner how to love you without loving you with food.
Oh,
You
that's
used to want
wonderful.
him to bring you peanut M&Ms. You don't want that anymore. Tell him what you want because your partner wants to love you. So you have to teach them. So it's very important to do that.
Mm. And guys are an action kind of, that's a big way of showing love. So that's a really interesting thing. So really teaching them. So any suggestions on how to teach a spouse that's bringing you cakes and cookies when you're on a program,
Yes.
how to to even have awareness of it without upsetting them, because they're thinking they're doing a really nice thing bringing you those donuts, but it's maybe not so nice. How do you nicely tell them the donuts are
A no-go.
a no-no
I think you
without
just have
hurting their little feelings?
Yeah, I think you just have to say, I'm not happy in my body and I want to get healthier. And to do that, I need to take a break for now of cakes, cookie, whatever the sweets are, or the chips. I actually had a friend who told her husband, stop bringing those chips home. I can't stop eating them. Please don't bring them into the house. If you want them, please eat them out of the house. What you can do to pamper me, you can take me out for a nice coffee. You can go for a walk with me. We can go to the mall and pick out whatever. I mean, just find different ways, but lay it out what you don't want because men are simple. No offense, guys. They want to be told what to do. Please don't do this. Please do this. Please bring me home flowers instead of cookies or cakes. I would love flowers in my house. How easy is that? You go to the local grocery store to get that done and just say, I love you and I want to love me as much as I love you. So I need to make some changes to make me happy. And I hope you can support me along the way.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. Nice and gentle. Yeah. So, I mean, I can't believe that we are coming to the end of our time together, because I could continue like this forever.
I know, I know.
Um, so seriously, I do want to thank you for doing this and just being a part of this show. And is there something that you'd like to share that we didn't get a chance to touch on yet?
Yes, I created a course this last fall called Love Yourself to Health. After working with women for 27 years, many do not like themselves. Many tell me the things I hate this, this, and this. And what I would always do as a trainer is I would say, stop. Please tell me three things you like about yourself. And I'd have women like tongue tied. They couldn't name one good thing about themselves. Now, you and I both know as coaches, mindset is everything. So, my Love Yourself to Health is 6 short audio courses, 5 to 7 minutes each, with homework, action steps to do at the end of each one, because women cannot change until they change their mindset. It's you need to put the oxygen mask on you first. You can't take care of everyone else in your life and leave yourself for last. So that just came out. It's on my website, theperfectbalance.guru. And for your audience, if they want to save $100, they could have love all in caps 100 to save $100 off that, because it's really my mission to help as many women as I can on their health journey, and it starts with mindset.
Oh, that's fantastic. Hey, and if you missed anything that Pam just said, it's going to be in the show notes, so you will be able to see this. So don't worry, just go to the show notes, and Pam's information will be there, and the discount code will be there as well. So you will not miss it. So if you're driving, don't pull over now and try to write it down. It's not necessary. You will be able to get it later. Pam, thanks again for joining us. I'm really happy that you are here and doing what you're doing in the world because it's needed. Oh, excuse
Thank
me.
you. Same with you. Thank you.
It's needed what you're doing in the world, and it's appreciated. And I want to also thank you, listeners, for tuning in to another episode of Your Health Moment and just taking the time for yourself to have this moment to tap into what you're doing with your wellness and where you are on your wellness journey. I look forward to speaking to you again next week. So take care and bye for now. Pam, that was fantastic.
We could talk for hours, really.
Oh my gosh. The stuff that you're doing is amazing. I didn't even get to your books.
Oh, that's okay.
I really wanted to really get to the books, big time. Yeah, I wanted to dive in because you have so many. I mean, I'd love to have you back, Pam, particularly because when I focus on young adults and college age, because I'm going to be doing a show with that, I'd love you to chime in, to give tips on how not to gain that freshman 15.
Yeah, I'd love
Uh,
to.
Um, and so there's so many other little things like that. But my main population is a bit older, so we're speaking to them.
Okay.
So, hey, thanks again. And we're just going to wait for a moment here.